So, well, there we go. I prefer the stream, but we'll do the recording this time, which is fine. Cool. Well, the recording's going, so I better get going. Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of the OpenJS Foundation's Cross Project Council meeting. Today is the 4th of February in the year 2025. And let's get things started. Don't forget to add yourselves to the list of attendees, please. That's always helpful. We're going to get better at making sure these notes are in the repo. So we want to have them accurate, which reminds me, if anybody can help take notes, that's great. We appreciate that. So without further ado, let's kind of start to work through some things. We have a little bit of time we'll set aside in a private session at the end to look at travel fund approvals. But how about announcements? Do we have any announcements?
Just want to give everyone a heads up. Just, we've been finalizing all the details on the JS Conf, getting, the graphics, we're gradually updating the website. We'll look at selling tickets, starting to sell tickets in a couple of weeks. We'll have a program committee right before that, but we're just, again, finalizing some of the pricing. We will hold aside some tickets for our maintainers so they can get early bird prices, and our corporate members as well. So again, just putting all the logistics together. CFPs will come in a couple of months. So just want to give everyone a heads up. We're getting lots of questions and we're super excited. So
great. When is the event date?
It is October, the second week of October.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we got some time.
Yeah. Chesapeake Bay, which you can fly into, it's the state of Maryland. You can fly into Washington, DC, or Baltimore and take the train right there.
Great. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Forward to hearing more as things get figured out. Any other announcements? Anything from the board? We had the meeting, was that last week? Time really flies by. The week before, when I don't know. Okay, thank you. Did we have anything to bring back here? I'm trying to remember. I can't think of anything. Toby?
I cannot either, but I had a very long week. It was FOSDEM. I barely can think of my last name.
Chris?
Sorry, I was on mute. Just in terms of announcements, I wasn't sure if there's anything. I was looking at the agenda and I don't see any issues about them, but the new projects or potential new projects onboarding, was there any official?
That's a good question.
News on that?
Yeah, Robin, you have your hand up. Is it related?
Oh, I was something different. So yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah, do we have anything to announce?
I don't think so this week yet.
Not yet. I think we need to notify the projects. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. We need to. There are some things to announce that will be coming soon, but we need to do some other communication first. But good call, Chris. Good call.
Yeah.
Robin, you got something else?
Yeah, just one other announcement. One topic of the board and also the security collab space is the Cyber Resilience Act that's coming, that's been approved and coming our way. I think, what do we have, about 18 months? So we are working with the Linux Foundation Europe and OpenSSF to create a, kind of a set of best practices and readiness guide for the industry. I know Toby and Jacob Smith attended a workshop that the Linux Foundation Europe hosted in Amsterdam last month. So they'll have a lot of learnings for us, but we want to make sure the JavaScript voice is included in that set of readiness materials. So we did blog about that. The Linux Foundation and the OpenJS was included in that blog last Friday. So
cool. Great.
Yeah. Chris?
You're hearing more. Chris?
Yeah, that just reminds me, I think many folks probably got an email about it. I'll share the doc in the chat here, but Rudd is hosting a series of town hall meetings this week, right? Yep, starting tomorrow on the nascent OpenJS CNA. So it's particular geared toward project maintainers that want to learn more about that and how they might leverage the CNA. Yep.
You want to explain briefly what what a CNA is for folks who don't know?
CNA is the CVE numbering authority. So these are the folks responsible for issuing security advisories. So every CNA has a certain scope. Some of them are like root CNAs, like MITRE, that can issue a CVE for almost anything. And then some are more limited in scope. So there's a Red Hat CNA. I think Red Hat is sort of a root CNA though. Then there's, I think Node has its own CNA. So OpenJS CNA is the scope of that is limited to OpenJS projects. Now that does not mean that OpenJS Foundation projects must use that CNA, but you may use that CNA. And you may also state that your project CVEs must be issued through the OpenJS CNA. And if you do that, that means that somebody can't go rogue and file a CVE with Martyr without telling you about it. And, not necessarily a problem, but can be with bogus CVEs or not giving you the right of first refusal and that sort of thing. So, but I'm probably digressing. Those are things we should probably address in town hall meetings and stuff like that. But that's the background of what the CNA is.
And what's cool is it's being run by folks from our security collab space. So Chris, you're on it. Jordan, you're on it.
Ulysses as well.
Ulysses is on it. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for folks, drop them in the chat there, but there's a couple this week. So feel free to get involved. And there's more next week. I just grabbed the first few that are happening this week. Awesome. Thank you for all that. Cool. Anything else before we continue on? All right, cool. And we mentioned the board, so nothing from the board. I see folks are highlighting the link to the issues with labels, waiting on staff. Do we have anything on any of these? There's waiting on legal info is the first one.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about 1359, the CLA one.
Okay.
So I did hear back from our legal team, and their advice, I'll paraphrase, this is also in the doc, was basically like, this change is so minor and is not particularly impactful, so it does not make sense to spend the time to make this adjustment now. If there are additional changes to the CLAs in the future, this can just be rolled into that. So I didn't want to close this out without broaching that here, but that would be my recommendation.
Okay, so small change, legal says it's fine.
Yeah, it's just a minor wording change, but it's actually not meaningful to the intent of the CLA. So like this is like more like a clarification, but it doesn't materially impact anything. So they were like, look, if you have additional changes, we'll roll these in, but updating a CLA is not an insignificant amount of time from the legal team. So they were like, let's just punt on this until you've got more substantial stuff.
Okay. Great. Cool. Anything else on the legal items? If not, I will bounce to the next one. There's staff update. Anything on that one? Continuity policy and package registries and the hospital run project. Nothing on those? Not,
I'll just say on hospital run, I'm still just waiting for the OpenJS org on NPM to get the right permissions. So just wait.
Yeah, and I opened an NPM account as well for backup.
Okay, great. Excellent. Let me just drop that in there. All right, cool. So I will get into the agenda. First one is issue 1412, discuss travel fund budget. Toby, you open this, bringing Joy's comment over.
Apparently I did, yes. I'm trying to open the issue
For sure.
because I don't remember what the status is of what the last what action items there were.
Yeah, it's a comment from Joy from a previous meeting issue. And
Right.
Joy, yeah.
Yeah. So I think also one of the interesting things that I found in the meantime, because in particular there's a conversation about diversity here. And I've noticed in the meantime that part of the requirements about diversity in our community fund policy. And so I think that partially answers that question. So if you look in the community fund policy, which is here, I'm gonna put it in the chat. And you go down to the end of like the about the community fund, you'll see the last paragraph right after the note that says the fund can cover the cost in whole or in part of a participant's hotel, right? And there you have additionally 25% of the community fund is allocated specifically to support underrepresented groups. And so I think that addresses to some degree, thank you for adding it to the chat, Robin. I think to some degree that addresses, I think, the question that was raised in what is it, 1412? I'm not sure if there were other aspects of that were targeted.
I think that makes sense. I think part of the tricky thing is that like if you don't want to have to prioritize, if there's not too many requests coming in, it would be great to not have to pick and choose between them. But I realize that there may be a lot of requests coming in and not enough budget. I think we did pretty good last year, though. We didn't have to reject any outright due to budget constraints.
Yeah, and there hasn't been a
But I mean,
I would just say, as of now, we're still looking great. There hasn't been a flood of requests. We're still under 10, right? However, like I do expect a bunch of last minute ones for the Collab Summit, but I could be wrong.
And, again, it hasn't been a problem, but I think what we don't want is having non-diverse applicants use up 75% of the budget, or then have it come in. So I think the message should always be every group who uses it or every event, we should encourage 25% of those folks.
Well, I also wonder if we should incentivize early booking, which lowers the cost, and sort of work that in there. In other words, like if everyone in the beginning of February was able to put in their requests for the beginning of April, then we would be able to make this decision with much more clarity. And there still might be people who have reasons why they can't book sooner, right? And they want to come later, and those people might be the folks we want to prioritize. So like, it's not like, I'm not saying we would want to spend 100% of the fund or of the budget just because everyone booked early, but like there may be some interplay there that we can work on and sort of like tell all the folks have someone post something on the Node Collab Summit issue, let's say, that says like, hey, if we need to be we're concerned about the potential budget costs about everyone flying in. So we'd really love it if everyone could, if figure out for sure if you're going to need the funds and then put in the request sooner than later. And I don't know. I'm just sort of brainstorming because like as was said, we don't want to have to say no to somebody.
Joy did that actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
she did. She was great.
Great. Chris?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think I brought this up, I don't know, it was ages ago when I saw like a travel request and I saw the amount and I was like, holy moly. And the only thing that I could imagine was because it was a long flight and it was booked pretty close to like the flight time. And you don't want to, you don't want to necessarily say no, but like a little bit more planning and preparation could have saved, $1,000, $1,500, whatever it was. So I wonder if that might be something we should, I actually think we should include in the policy and the guidelines or whatever that like, please try to book, whatever the sweet spot is. I think like 3 months in advance is usually the sweet spot for airfare, something around that. I don't know. More frequent flyers can help educate on that part. But and maybe that's something that gets included in the rubric. Did you put this travel request in like 3 weeks before the thing or 2 months before the thing? Because obviously the amount is something that is considered in the rubric, but the amount in a vacuum doesn't tell the full story, right? If you're getting a flight that could have been $500 and now it's $2,000, that's a big delta.
Yeah.
There actually is in the section deadlines and timelines language on this topic, and it says that the fund request must be made 8 weeks prior to the travel date, or be justified by a comment. And I don't know that we have a comment to actually do this, and in the form. And so, that's something we could do here if we wanted there. But I like Jordan's approach to be more proactive about reminding people that there is an event coming up that they might want to request funds for. And also doing it at the same time as a way to reach out to diversity and underrepresented people. So do these things at the same time, right? Remind people there are funds for this, and like a chunk of these funds are deliberately set aside to support underrepresented communities. And if we do both at the same time, to Jordan's point, we might not only have more people, a more diverse group of people, but also cut costs and like be able to support more events. So I think a push like this would be really, really good. It's hard to synchronize. Do we have a sense of do we have like a place where we have all of those dates? Do we have them sufficiently in advance to actually reach out to people and do that work?
Not necessarily. I know the OpenVis collab space folks, they're just starting to put some dates down for their event in September. Node, I think, can plan ahead, probably a little bit better. So certainly for the event, if anyone wants to co-locate their collab summit with JSConf in October, we can accommodate that. So
Great. In this particular issue, how do we resolve this or address it in any way to kind of either move it forward or be able to close it or what have you?
I think that's a great question. I need to actually read every point of the issue to be able to answer this.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Toby. What?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Wi-Fi is so bad. It's like really, really bad. And it's actually I'm on 4G because there's not even 5G where I'm at. So I don't have an option, right? I can't go on my phone. What I said is I have to read the issue because there are 3 or 4 topics in the issue, and I don't know the issue well. To answer your question, I think on the the underrepresented part and diversity, I think that outlining the 25% and when we do outreach is important. And I think as part of the transparency report for last year, I think it would be nice to actually look at what number we had and like and share that number too to see if we're on target or under target.
Yeah, I'll mention we just got our end of year budget from LF. So I'm reconciling all the actuals and everything. And so I can draft an update based on the previous update that was posted. And
That would
maybe
be
see
lovely.
what other metrics related to diversity and stuff that I can pull out from the data that we've got. So I can do that this week.
Yeah, and just heads up, what I did to do that, I did check it, but what I did to make it fast, is I anonymized the data, so I just removed everyone's names and like just had the numbers and stuck it in like an LLM and asked it to spit out the thing, and it frankly it works really well and it's very short to do.
Yeah, that was the plan.
In case it wasn't, I just wanted to share my experience.
I do appreciate it. Yes.
Right. If somebody could drop some sort of comment in that issue, I think that would be helpful.
I'll do that, and I'll just file an issue in a new issue in the transparency that I'll link from there. And yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of you, Toby, pulled that comment into an issue. But I guess as long as you tag Joey, that'll be fine. I just don't want it to get kind of lost for them. All right, excellent.
Yeah, the comment was actually on a previous like in the issue of the last call that we had itself, and so I didn't really know what to do with it. So
Yeah.
that's why it's like it's a issue.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, great. So moving on, the next issue is 1398, audit new project application process and implementation. 2 weeks ago, Toby added a waiting on pull request label, but then Ben responded. Okay, no, I think that's just a little bit more information, but so I guess this one's waiting for a pull request to update things. Is that accurate? Try to drop the link in here for folks. So this was discussed in last week's call. I mean, the most recent CPC meeting call. Yeah, so is this, I see, Ben, you've shortened the new project email list. And then we just need to update the process in our docs, I suppose. Is the comment that Toby added near the bottom there.
Yeah, I'm just reading through this.
So I think it makes sense. I think if I can paraphrase, and I wasn't in the last meeting, so I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. But
oh yeah,
we're basically making the new project email list only a small handful of people, so that we just make sure that new applications are acknowledged, to the person
yes,
who sent them in. And then we will forward that message on to the CPC private list. And
that's correct. And we just want that written down in the main process, and that's that.
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is just a process to make things a little bit smoother, and we know exactly how it works. And then also we avoid the issue of potentially responding to the application with the submitter on the CC list. Yep. And all that stuff. So we're kind of, disentangling a couple things and making it a little bit more clear, a little bit more smooth, and a little less prone to any potential issues. Cool. All right, great. So that's something we can work on. All right, excellent. Next item on the list here is the health check on the NativeScript TSC charter. Does anybody have an update on this? The last thing.
Yeah, I reached out to the chair of the NativeScript TSC, and they have just changed chairs, And so I was sent an intro to the new chair, and then there was FOSDEM. And so I don't know if like they're in my backlog of email or not, because I don't know.
Yeah,
But like it's moving along.
got it. No update. Cool. All right, add next item on the agenda here is adding affiliation clause to native script charter. I don't know if this is related.
Literally the same story. And so let's figure out once we have a call with the new chair. It also could be that like the change in chair smooths things out. Like I have no idea, right? We'll figure out.
Okay, great, excellent. Thank you, Toby. Let's see, Ben, the next one here is 1367, create process docs to request infrastructure resources through OpenJS partners. I see you have a comment here, I think, from you, Ben. Suggest we close this out as we have a process defined and rolled out, and we can always tweak as needed.
Yeah, it seems to be working. We had at least one request, possibly more than one, of someone requesting resources. So we can always tweak this going forward, but at least the immediate issue that was stated here, I think, is set. I had asked Christian a while ago if like, hey, you know, here's what we've got. Like, does this meet your needs? And he hasn't responded. So it's been 2 weeks. So we'll probably close it out. And if there's other issues or if it turns out to be inefficient, we can always tweak what we've got and build on it.
Yeah, okay, great. Someone maybe wants to drop a comment in there saying we think we've got this covered. If you know, anyone doesn't agree, they can reopen the issue and we can discuss.
Yeah, I'm
it.
doing that right now.
Excellent. Cool, thank you. Okay, so the next one is kind of on me, although I think we should maybe, let me open this up and explain. It's this 1122 Code of Conduct Plan of Action. I was looking at this last week. There are only a small handful of things to look at here to consider this whole giant chunk of work that started in July of 2023, or actually probably even before then. It was just summarized on that date. There's a little bit of stuff here to do. I would encourage folks to take a look at it. It might be good for like a working session. But like, for example, we need to update, I think, the onboarding checklist, post-graduation checklists, which maybe is already completed. I see a PR that's open and closed, but like we got to validate that. Should we update to a later version of the contributor covenant? You know, that had some discussion pieces around that. I'm not sure what version we are on right now. So that's something we should look at. And then also, I think it was Jordan who had mentioned moving the code of conduct to a .github repo, which I think is something we as a group should discuss, whether that's what we want to do. Is that the best place to have it? I know there are certain processes that kind of fall into place when you have the .github repo there, but is it discoverable? A discussion to have. And then the last one is provide clearer instructions on how onboarding projects should adopt the COC. I'll stop there. Toby, you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, but I think you got it covered well. What I'm wondering about is, frankly, if we shouldn't like grab those four issues out and like put them in a new one, then sort of like close this one, because it feels like very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And we've done most of the work, frankly, and like there's a bit of cleanup and like you know, another like yeah. So I think if anyone wanted to actually do that, like take the 4 points you just and put them in a new issue and close this, I think it would make all of us that suffered through this fix feel a lot better.
Yeah, I'm even open to like individual issues, not like 4 and 1 new issue.
Yeah, even that could be fine for sure.
But yeah, if somebody, you know, I'll do this if nobody gets around to it. But if somebody could help, and just, you know, one at a time, they don't have to do all of them. But if they want to help with 1 or 2 of them and look at them, yeah, as Ben mentioned, sub issues are great. So any help in kind of you know, getting this actionable, these last few remaining things would be really great. Michaela?
Sorry, hard time unmuting here. Yeah, just a question, I guess, regarding the last four. Is it just creating issues with that text, or is there any additional information that's needed for any of these issues? I think I joined on after this started, so don't know if there's additional context I'm missing.
Yeah, no additional context really for this issue. I think what it would be good, probably a couple of them are pretty simple to like create new issues for, and like, for example, there might even already be an issue open that we just need to make sure is surfaced. Perhaps has the cross-project council agenda label on it. But I think like the one that might be, I don't want to say thorny, but like a little bit deeper is like, should we update the contributor covenant to the latest version? And I think there's a couple of issues already linked there. So it might be good to like get a handle on what that entails, and then maybe summarize that just to help move things forward. So I think to answer your question, a couple of them might be easy and pretty straightforward, and one or two of them might be just a little bit more of like understanding what happened and then kind of helping us to move them forward.
Okay, sounds good, sounds good. I mean, I can
So if I can add it,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, please.
Oh, I was gonna volunteer to help then with that process. Again.
Yeah. So this is exactly why I should immediately shut up.
Yep. Sounds good, sounds good.
Yeah, that would be great. Feel free to reach out to myself, or Toby if you have any questions or something's not making sense. Happy to help. Toby, we're going to say something?
As a quick additional context here, this issue was built as an epic, to use a GitLab terminology. So like a main issue was lots of sub issues, but before sub issues were actually a thing on GitHub. And so that's why it's kind of a little bit messy, and that's why it points to other issues and sub issues. And so I don't know if like there are sub issues for each of the things that are left in there. And I don't know how to like build this that looks a little bit more clean and approachable. But essentially, we've completed most of the epic. And because we only meet like every other week, every time we go into this, it looks giant and very unpleasant. And so we close it back and like look, don't look at it. So I think the idea is if we can have a new issue that points to like the 3 or 4 easy things that are still left to do, whether those are in there or in separate issues doesn't really matter. But like it's essentially psychological. Yes, Chris, this absolutely.
Yeah, so
yeah, take a crack at making it a little bit more approachable.
Great. Yeah, whatever
Perfect framing.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Michaela. So the last where am I here? Yeah, the last of our main agenda is the nonviolent communication training, which I think is like scheduled. Right?
It's scheduled, it's confirmed. I just need to get a registration form out to everyone. So I will do that by the end of the week. So, and I've invited the board members as well.
Great. Chris?
Sorry, I forgot. Is this the date that does not conflict with TC39 plenary?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
TC39 and some holidays in many countries as well. So.
Yeah, so here is the final comment on the last comment on that issue with the details, March 6th and 7th, 11 to 3 Eastern time. Great. And then the one last issue on the agenda is the OpenJS and open source pledge.
Yep. Ulysses, do you want to give an update from yesterday? Or I can.
Yeah, you're
Working.
looks like you're still muted. Let's see if I can. No, I'm not a host. There you go. Oh. Nope, still can't hear you.
You're unmuted in Zoom, but yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
You have like a hardware mute on your system?
I heard you for a second, but it was really quiet. Nope, lost you.
Yeah. you keep trying if you want. Robin, do you want to
Sure.
summarize?
Yeah, Ulysses chairs our new sustainability collaboration space, which is about fundraising and things like that. So that was a topic of conversation. You know, we had discussed it earlier. There was not consensus, particularly for big companies who do a lot of in-kind contributions. The folks from the behind the pledge said that the in-kind is coming. So our group yesterday, the collab space, decided that we will invite the Chad Whitaker, who has been running the pledge, to come present at our next meeting. So I'm gonna see if I can get that scheduled. Anyone's welcome to join. So that's the latest and greatest.
Cool.
So yeah, thanks, Ulysses. And actually,
That's
just another
lovely.
update on- Go ahead. And
No, please.
oh, and if you're interested in the collab space, you know, we were floating around on days and times. We are going to keep it on Mondays, we've agreed. And that was, boy, we had a lot of meetings yesterday. That was at 9:30 Pacific, Jordan, was that right? From our time zone yesterday?
I think it's 8:30.
8.
No, 8:30 is security, 9:30 is sustainability. Sorry.
Sustainability on Monday, yeah. Actually, everyone's invited to both. Lots of great things, so
Great.
that's locked bi-weekly.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that it's lovely to reframe this pledge and wait for the in-kind thing. I think it makes a ton of sense. That's great. Great work.
Cool. Yes. Thank you for all the work on that. Great. So we are at the end of our agenda. Did we decide, do we think that potentially doing some of the code of conduct work for next week makes sense for folks, or is there anything else that's more pressing that we want to address? No? Okay. Well then, no pressure, Michaela, but we'll dig into that Tuesday of next week. So great. And I think that that's it. And we can jump to the private session to review travel fund requests. So thanks everybody for watching, and see you next time for this.